Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Crypto Stu here in the Crypto Stu studio. I promised to make a video. I have my lame visual aid for this. Here is my lame visual aid. This is from my Experian. I have an 850 out of 850 FICO score. I have a perfect FICO score. I promised to make a video explaining why I have a perfect FICO score and how you can get one too, perhaps. So, first, a story. Our story begins in Fenway Park. I bet you didn't think we were going to Fenway Park, did you? Yes, Fenway Park. It was my freshman year of college. I was 18 years old, and it was orientation for college. I went to a hoity-toity university in the Boston area, so one of the orientation events was a Red Sox game. I'm not really a Red Sox fan, but hey, free baseball game. So I went, and in the belly of the ballpark, they had this booth, and the booth said, sign up for the Red Sox MasterCard and get a free helmet. Now, I had no job, no money, and no credit history, obviously. I was 18. So, and I said this to the guy who sold the, who was doing the booth, and he said, it doesn't matter. Whether you get the card or not, you get the free helmet. So I figured, hey, they're going to reject me. Who cares? I filled out the application, and I walked away with my free helmet, thinking nothing of it. I figured I'd just get a rejection letter in the mail a few weeks later. But I didn't get a rejection letter in the mail. About 3 weeks later, I received a Boston Red Sox MasterCard, and the card, and I'm not lying about this, the card had a $200 limit. And so I put it in my wallet, figured maybe it was just something to have for if there was a really cheap emergency, and that was it. And then a few months went by, and I think something happened where I needed it because I just ran out of cash. I used cash for everything back then. Everybody did, or young people all did. And so I whipped out the card, and then when the bill came, I paid it off, and that happened a couple more times. And then I noticed on the bill it said that my limit was raised to $500. Okay. And about 6 more months went by, and the limit was raised to $1,000. Long story short, I still have that credit card to this day, and it has a $20,000 limit on it. I never once asked them to raise the limit. They just, every once in a while, just did it on their own. And the reason this is relevant to my 850 FICO score is that that's my oldest credit line. It started when I was 18. And how old is your oldest credit line is one of the really relevant factors in what your FICO score is. I think it's unfair that that's one of the most relevant factors because it means that younger people can't have excellent credit because their credit lines aren't old enough. I mean, I see both sides because they also don't have very long credit histories, but I don't think it's right. It's kind of an age discrimination thing. It's like what if it was 40 years you needed to be? Then it would just be only people over 60 could have good credit. It's ridiculous. So I don't think it's fair, but it is how they do the FICO score. So if I was going to give someone some advice, if they're young, I would say even if you don't like credit cards or you're scared of them or something, to get one, to have start your credit journey as early as possible. Because I know from my YouTube analytics it says that the 3 people who watch my videos are mostly men who are in their early 20s. So if you're out there and you don't have any kind of credit card or anything, get one. And even if you look, you can always just throw it in a drawer and not use it. At least you have a credit line. Older you will appreciate it. When you try to get a house 15 years from now, your credit will be better off for it that your credit journey started as early as possible. So you don't have to use it, but I would recommend having it. Also, for older people, if you have children, when that child, or at least what I'm going to do with my kid, the moment he turns 18, I mean, assuming that the whole credit industry works this way still, I would get him a credit card. I wouldn't give it to him if he can't use it responsibly. But, you know, again, it would just have a credit card in his name, and it'll start his credit journey. And when it starts, the quicker he'll have a lengthy credit history. And I wanted to talk on the idea of just, there are people out there, and I used to be one of them, who just hate the idea of debt. They're just like, oh, well, I've seen what debt does to people, and I don't want to be one of those people, so I don't like owing anybody any money. And I'm still that way with individuals. I don't like owing any kind of friends or relatives money, but I've made my peace with owing companies money. Because credit cards are great if you use them right. I mean, it's like a 30 to 60 day interest-free loan. Just pay it off in full every time you use it. Never run a balance because the interest rate stinks. Mortgages are great when you get a good rate. I mean, right now I have like a 3% mortgage, and inflation is something like 7%. That's awesome. I mean, so there is such a thing as good debt, and also you need to have debt to have. If you're going to have great credit, you're going to need to have a car loan and a mortgage. You're going to need to make your payments on time, because if you refuse to have those things, then you don't have enough of a credit history to have great credit. Even though you've never screwed up, you've also not had enough opportunities to do the right thing. So you need to have good debt in order to have great credit. Don't think that you can just walk in to a bank at the age of 30, never having had a credit card or a car loan or anything, and get a mortgage and get a good rate. It's just, I don't care what your income is, that's just not going to work that way. You have no credit history. So get a credit history, get it as early as possible. I mean, obviously you have to pay your bills on time and be responsible with your credit. I brought up a list of tips so I wouldn't forget anything. So let's see what's next here. All right, so I said start your credit journey as early as possible. If you're older with established credit, yes, request raises in your limits. This is important. One of the reasons I have perfect credit is because I use a very, very small percentage of my available credit. And what I mean by that is, like, I have that Boston Red Sox MasterCard with a $20,000 limit. I almost never use it, so that's $20,000 of unused credit I have. I have other cards that also have pretty high limits because I've had them a long time that I don't really use that often, and I always pay the balances off in full. So my credit usage of credit available is about 1%. So if somebody had good credit and wanted to have better credit, I would actually say to that person, maybe request a raise in your credit limit, because then you'll have more credit available and you'll be using less of it. As far as I know, and from what I've looked into, requesting a raise in your credit limit does not ping your credit or affect your credit, even if they say no. I've had a couple of instances where I actually did ask them to raise my credit limit on other cards because I was about to spend a lot of money on that card, and they've always said yes and done it. And it was never a big deal. But I do have a note here, because they do have, credit card companies do ask you questions from time to time, especially if you're requesting a raise in your credit limits. They'll ask you things about your income and stuff like that, and I know people are going to be tempted to lie. I have words of caution if you're going to lie on any kind of credit card application or any kind of questionnaire. Even if you already have the card and they give you one of those questions, let's update your information, how much do you currently make? If you lie on those questionnaires, first of all, there are criminal implications just from the lying. Secondly, if you ever declare bankruptcy, they can use the fact that you lied as a reason to not allow you to discharge the debt through bankruptcy. So if you're the type of person who might declare bankruptcy someday, lying on a credit application would be a very big mistake. There also are criminal implications that can come into play later on if there are issues with your credit later on and you lied about your income on a credit card application, on a credit card application. So I would really, really recommend thinking through it before embellishing about your income on a credit card application. And I am someone who busts every gap he can when it comes to doing better on things. And lying on a credit card application just isn't one of those things that's worth doing. There aren't many circumstances where it'll be a problem for you if you're not going to run into any troubles in the future. But if you do run into any troubles, it could really jam you up. So I would highly recommend not lying about your income on a credit card application. So I think that's it. So you want to have high credit limits but not use them. If your credit limit is low, you can request a raise in your credit limit, and it shouldn't affect your credit, but look into it before you do so. You can even, when you talk to your credit card company, when you call them, say, hey, if I ask for a credit lower, how's your credit limit? Will it affect my credit? And they'll explain everything to you. Everyone's always been real nice when they talk to me, but of course they are. I have perfect credit. All right, I also promised to do a hint on the coin on this picture here with the coins. Remember, I am giving away free Bitcoin. So the first coin hint I put in this video, which was the Nissan Rogue video. If you haven't seen that one, you should watch it and get the hint. And the hint in the second one, which is what I'm giving now, is that when I did the cash out, it just happened to be a number that's divisible by 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, like that. So whatever guess you put in, if you're going to hit it on the nose, your guess should be divisible by 5. So that's the hint. So I gave you the first hint in the Nissan Rogue video, and remember, you have to go to this video. That's the Don't Save Up Your Pocket Change, Here's Why video. You have to go to that video and put your guess in and the Bitcoin address where you'd like the Bitcoin you're going to win sent to, and all the parameters of the contest, I guess you can call it a contest, I don't really think it is, challenge, are in that video. So that's it. That's why I have a 850 FICO score, and you can too, with just the right amount of work and perseverance. I hope somebody out there found this helpful. Until next time, this is Crypto Stu, signing off.